thank you. I said thank you to you because thank you is an expression of appreciation. Thank you for giving me the incentive to go slowly in my meditation and just feel that even just to this extent it feels really delightful, kind of gorgeous. It's like sometimes you may hear of a new restaurant and you go there and the person who takes you there, you say thank you for showing me this incredibly delicious food, which is also healthy. And that's what the meditation is. I'm going to give this example now because I gave this to somebody just after lunch today because they needed some help for their daughter who was doing Year 12 exams soon, another 100 days I think she said, where she was very desperate to make sure she did really well, and she was having the anxiety. And this was how I did well at my exams about 55 years ago, but I still remember it. And for all the young people here, whether it's Year 12s or 11s, 10s, 9s, 8s, whatever, it's a great thing to be able to know. I did this in the final exams at Cambridge. In those days, the examinations were 3-hour papers. They were called final exams because everything else did not matter at all. Everything was down to 6 days of intense examination. And fortunately I had an easy subject: quantum physics, astrophysics of the galaxy, special relativity, all the easy stuff, plasma physics. I don't know why people say it's hard, it's just sums to me. So anyway, I had a 3-hour exam in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, an hour for lunch, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well. I thought that was really cruel and unfair. I had to do exams on Saturdays, but nevertheless, that was what everyone else had to do, so I did it as well. But I had the advantage. I knew how to meditate. That was kind of like a hobby. It's like, the spirituality which I was doing. And it was so powerful. Because what I did, I never had lunch on those days. Instead of having lunch, I went to my room, sat on a nice cushion and meditated. What do I mean, meditated? What I did, I closed my eyes, and the first thing which came into my mind, obvious, a morning exam. How did I do? So thinking about that morning exam, I realized, what a waste of time. Now's the time when I'm supposed to be relaxing. And if you think of the morning exam, it's finished, it's over, you can't change it now. So the only option was to let it go. And when I let it go, I was realizing just how I was wasting a small amount of, I was wasting energy. I'd just done a 3-hour exam. That was really hard mental exercise, and my mind was exhausted. So I needed to let the morning exam go. Bye-bye morning exam. Good or bad, it's all done. And the next thing which came into my mind was the afternoon exam, obviously. As I said to the family today, every time I'd done some last-minute revision, that question never comes up in the exam, never ever. What a waste of time that is. So I realized I had to let go of worrying about what is going to come up. My main purpose was to relax, to restore the energies in my brain. And so I let go of worry about the future exam. So I came into this moment. And I always remember this exercise I did every lunchtime, because it surprised me. I saw something in my body I never thought existed, which was nervousness. I was shaking. And what really worried me, I had not noticed that up to now. I was so busy worrying about morning and afternoon exams, I never realized how I actually felt physically. As soon as I noticed I was shaking, it was very easy to relax. You just noticed the body was moving, and then you tried this and tried that. Mostly it was just kindness, giving yourself a bit of confidence, and then soon the body relaxed. It went really loose, and there was no more shaking to be found. What a wonderful thing that was, that silly waste of energy I'd overcome. And the next thing which I noticed was the state of my brain. You'd just done a very hard exam for 3 hours. You've given it everything you've got. It's like you've been running a marathon for 3 hours. You need to sit down and relax, because there was no energy left in my legs from a marathon. Now there's no energy left in my brain. And the only way I described it to myself and others, I said it was like a tea bag which had been all used. All the caffeine, the tea or whatever else was in it had all been drained out and nothing left. But it's wonderful. Whenever you see what the problem is in meditation, you can spot it. It disappears. For those of you who've done a lot of meditation and know Buddhism, you know that when any this Buddhist equivalent, not that equivalent, but similar to the idea of a devil, a bad fellow, whenever that comes in, it's called Mara. And how is Mara defeated? Not by force, not by kicking his butt. Mara is defeated just by wisdom. I know you, Mara. This happens so often in the sutras. When you say that, I know you, Mara, the monk knows me, the nun knows me, and slinks away. It's just for seeing what's happening. That is the main remedy for what's the difficulty. For me, the lack of energy. But anyway, that's just simple techniques, which I told this. Actually, I've got to apologize now, because I told this young lady today that I'm not going to tell anybody. Otherwise, she won't be the only one who knows the secret. No, other people will know it. So she has to compete a bit higher. But anyway, that worked for me so well when I did my exams in theoretical physics. It worked because I was, I'd done all the studies and the training. Now I was actually working to my potential. And to prove the point, as I told her this afternoon, that when I went into the examination room, in Cambridge, I was the only student, so my friends said, who was smiling. And apparently that's quite rare to smile in a final exam. And I was smiling not because they thought I was cheating, because I knew how to make the best use of my mind. And that was the first real time you saw just the power of meditation just in ordinary life. How to pass exams easily. And I've been telling that to people for so many years now. And one of the last times I told this was in Carmel School, the Jewish school here in Perth. Only because of the work which I was doing with Cancer Support Association, and now it's called Solaris, you get to know so many other sort of leaders of the religious groups here in Perth, And this was one of my friends called Rabbi Bernstein. I got to know him because one day, I was in a cancer group, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, we Jewish people believe in rebirth too." I said, "That's the first time I heard that. You actually understand rebirth?" He said, "Yeah." And then when I talked to one of the other rabbis I knew, he was much more conservative. And I said, "I didn't realize that in the Jewish tradition you believe in rebirth." He said, "We don't. Who told you that?" I said, "Rabbi Bernstein." "Oh, him." And from that day on, he became a friend. So he happened to be the chaplain in Carmel School, the Jewish school in Dianella. And so he wrote me this letter. He said, "I got permission from the principal. We are not doing well in our year 12s. Everybody is, the pre-exams are not doing well at all. Can you come and help?" So, a Buddhist monk came to Carmel School. You know, to help anybody. I don't discriminate against this or that. So I went there, spent the afternoon there, teaching them how to pass exams, just like I taught you. And I got this letter back from the principal, and I love this letter. The principal wrote back and said, "Ajahn Brahm, thank you for spending the time teaching our kids how to pass exams. I just want to let you know that this year we came top, the highest ranked school in Western Australia on year 12s. It works. So I don't know if there's any teachers here or any principals. You've still got a few days yet, a few weeks yet. Get the monks or myself or someone else, go to the school and teach meditation. It's free, it's easy, and you can overcome all of these waste of energies like fear and anxiety and shaking or worry, which actually will stop you doing well. And they give your kids a much better happiness. And that's why, I think I said also, already here in Perth, we have like the kid who comes top of all the other kids in these year 12 exams, pre-university. They're the ones who get awarded this Beasley Medal, the top student in the whole state. So far, we've got 2 Beasley Medals in our Buddhist society, and 1 kid who got number 2. Just missed out on the top medal. It's pretty good for a religion which is not that many Buddhists in our Buddhist society here in Western Australia. So, any of you have kids, take the opportunity. But I remember one kid, one of the first ones who got the Beasley Medal, you know what happened to him? He did so well, he got offered from Harvard a scholarship. All things paid, even accommodations paid, and air tickets paid, to go and do 3 or 4 years at Harvard University, all for free. Are you interested? So, sometimes these are just some of the effects of meditation. But for that reason, what I wanted to talk about this evening is the fact that, you won't see much of us monks here at Nonamara soon. I've come here this evening and I will be here next Friday, and that will be the last time for 2 or 3 months. We're having our rains retreat. That's an old tradition of Buddhism. We go on retreat. For us, this is where we work. We do our social work, community work, teach meditation, also just look after as many people we can in our community, go to funerals, and even it's amazing what monks get up to. Even like doing marriage ceremonies. You know how we do marriage ceremonies? We can't sign the forms because that's, we're celibates. But what we can do is I often say, Dennis over there, he used to be our marriage celebrant. Put your hand up, Dennis. How many marriages have you done in your life? Yeah, because he said that to his first wife once. He said, I'm going to marry Christina this afternoon. And his wife said, what? You're married to me? I said, I'm doing the ceremony. But it's usually we do them together, many of them. So I always say that he does the ceremony and I make sure they keep together. And how they keep together is one simple little teaching. And I mentioned this again to someone recently, and to say, that it's actually one of our Anagarikas. And I was saying just one thing he really finds difficult is when he just looks after himself, he thinks that's being selfish. And when he helps others, he thinks he's like neglecting his own practice. So how can he find that kind of middle way? So you can be of service to others, you're developing kindness, but you're also looking after yourself. And that's the story which I've said to so many people. Look at one of the partners in the eye, say it's just the new bride. Look her directly in the eye and said, you are a married woman now. You must not think of yourself from this day on. And she always understands and she nods, yes. Then I look at the husband and I say to him, you are a married man now. You must not think of yourself. Now this is not a joke, but this is my experience over many, many years. If it's an Australian husband, he always pauses before he said, yes. He says yes, he means it. And then still looking at the husband, I say, from this day on, you must not think of her, your wife. I remember the Anagarika this afternoon, he said, what, you've lost me, Ajahn Brahm. What do you mean you're not supposed to think of your wife? And I look at the wife and say, from this day on, you're a married woman, you must not think of him, your husband. They do the same as you do right now. You go quiet and you think, you've lost me, Ajahn Brahm, this is too profound for me. And it's true, that contemplate this is such an important part of friendship, being part of a family, being part of a community. So if just the two people in a marriage, when you're married, you must not think of yourself, you must not think of your partner. You must only think of us. You're in it together. If it's just thinking of your partner, then you're so selfless, you get burnt out, you've got no part in that sort of little company called marriage. And if you just think of others, again you get burnt out. Thinking of yourself, you get selfish. Imagine that, you're not thinking of yourself, you're not thinking of your partner, you're thinking of us. That's what a marriage is. That's what a community is. That's like a Buddhist society is. Like a executive committee is. You never think of yourself, you think of us. We're in it together. Okay, I've got my two legs, you've got your two legs, you go this way, you go that way. But we're so kind of connected there that we do think of us. And that's a nice little way of understanding about where this meditation leads you to. It's not about you. When you meditate, it affects so many other people. All those people you will meet, all those people you work for, if you start meditating, everybody gains. Now, when I'm talking about retreat, you know that once I got permission from the rest of the monks that I've been working here in Buddhist Society of Western Australia, building Bodhinyana Monastery for such a long time, they said, it's about time you took a sabbatical. You know what sabbatical means? It's just 1 year, you can go to any monastery you want, go to any new place, no responsibilities. And it was something which I'd always heard, and I really rebelled against. When this one monk, he lives over in Sydney, he said you always get better meditation in somebody else's monastery. And I thought, that's really wrong. I spent all this time and years building Bodhinyana Monastery. Do I have to go somewhere else to get some peace and quiet? And so I rebelled against it. I said, no, I am going to do a 6-month retreat in Bodhinyana Monastery. So I never went anywhere on my sabbatical. I stayed in this beautiful monastery, used one of the kutis, made it so I never needed to go anywhere to bathe, had some water in the tank, and it was cold water, but I didn't mind. And then a monk would come and bring me food once a day. I would never see them. They'd take my alms bowl, fill it up at the kitchen, and put it in this container, this little box. And I wouldn't see them put it in there. I know at the time they put it in there, and about quarter of an hour, half an hour later, I go to collect it, eat it, wash it, any extra food I put out for the animals in the forest, and then once the bowl was clean, put it in what's it called? The box. And they would come and collect it for tomorrow. I never saw a human being for 6 months. Not one. And then I saw many animals. That was one of the lovely things about retreats. You get far more sensitive. You can see more, hear more, feel more. And so I saw all these amazing animals in the sky above our monastery in Serpentine. The family of animals which I loved the most was some eagles. There was a mummy and daddy eagle and their kid, their baby. And every time in the afternoon, I got to know roughly the time, you go outside and you see them training their child, what do they call it, the eaglet or something, the baby eagle, how to fly. And it was kind of like a privilege, to watch them. And so many other beautiful animals there. And even one of the animals which I saw there was this huge snake. It was a dugite. Big one. Because I know a dugite is a very dangerous, venomous snake. And I just remember that. When it was coming, I was washing my bowl after lunch. And there were some kangaroos around. They ran away because they were scared. They were terrified of this big snake. And I know how big it was because it was a hot day, and then it eventually went to take the shade next to the wall of the kuti. And as Dennis would know, he would always draw up plans, for building these kutis, and I did a lot of these kutis myself. These kutis like monks' huts. And that wall was, that's right, 2.92 meters long. And so its head was just on one side, its bottom of its tail was on the other side. So that's how long it was, a 3-meter long snake. That's a long snake. And I still remember when it first came to me, it came right towards me and looked at me. And then I just carried on washing my bowl. I'm not scared of snakes. Snakes can't eat me. It's too much. They won't be able to swallow me. No, that's only a joke. I wasn't that fat then. But nevertheless, you had kindness, and I just carried on washing my bowl. And then I looked around. The snake had turned around when I wasn't looking. It was only a few feet away. And now its tail was pointed towards me, and its head was pointing in the other direction. What I gained from that snake was not afraid of me at all. So its most vulnerable part was pointing at me, and its head was pointing the other direction. It just showed when you are calm and you start to be sensitive to the animals which are your best friends, and you find that nothing can harm you or will harm you. And anyway, 6 months I had on retreat, and you can't say exactly what I was experiencing, but I do know, I think Eddie at the back over there was very interested when I came out to give my first talk after a 6-month retreat. There was a kind of a discussion. Would Ajahn Brahm be mad? 6 months by himself, not talking with anybody, not seeing anybody. But I don't know, many of you said that there was a huge amount of energy coming out of me. And I also remember that no one told me this, the other monks in that monastery were also, they were just trying to find a way to be the next monk to stay in that kuti. They wanted to feel the energy of their 6 months of meditation. I remember the monk who won that kind of lottery to be the next monk to move into my kuti. And he said when he went in there afterwards, the first night he couldn't stay there. So it was too strong for him. So he went back to his old kuti. And then only one night later, because this is what he said, he could feel that he had enough confidence to be able to handle that energy. Places do have energy. I was saying this in the talk I gave at Jhana Grove today. One of those places which has huge energy is the hall at Bodhinyana Monastery. Many of you know that. You know, you go there and just visiting, you go there after lunch or before lunch and you sit in that hall at the front if you can. And that's huge energy. So it's an easy place to meditate. All of our guests from Hong Kong and Jakarta, did you sit there in that hall? Please put your hand up if you have. There's only 2. Okay. Did you find it had huge energy, easy to meditate? They're nodding their heads, yeah. It's true. That's the heavenly beings. So don't tell too many stories, Ajahn Brahm. But that's one of the reasons why we have retreats. The retreat we're going to be going on soon, on the next full moon night, that's when it starts. Everything goes according to the moons. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes you don't really have to look at the calendar to know what day we're doing this ceremony. So just look up in the moon. And if you can have a clear night and see that the moon is full, then that's the day we do these beautiful ceremonies. And I don't know why. Maybe just I'm brainwashed into this. But when the full moon is up, it's kind of like extra energy in a place like a monastery. And you can really enjoy the meditation. It's got some extra power to it. And that's one of the reasons why we have these retreats, usually for 3 months. So all the monastics and other people lucky enough to stay there can get some inspiring teachings. That's enough to know how to be peaceful, how to be still, how to have a mind which becomes really sensitive, how to get a mind which is so clear and peaceful. Just in order for you to know this, I should, if I ever plan anything, I should always bring this first manuscript of this first book which I wrote, Opening the Door of Your Heart. Have you read that? Some of you? Have you seen that? In Indonesian, that's the first of the Guru Chaching books. In Thai, it's the Chuan Moon Chuan book. In Germany, it's called the Coup de Vinti. That was published so many years ago. In Germany, it became a bestseller. And I remember getting these crazy emails from some media company. And they said, in German, I had to get one of the German monks to translate for me. He said, "Your books are really good. Can we invite you to Germany to go on one of these talk shows?" The German equivalent to opera. No, come on, I can't even speak a word of German. But I was very happy to see just how well they were received. Why? I'm a monk, not an author. But nevertheless, these are some of those stories I've told to you over those years, like the opening the door of your heart, like the 2 bad bricks in the wall. All those stories which are simple, but very, very profound. Like the 2 bad bricks in the wall. You know that story, I hope. Do it very quickly. When I laid my first brick wall, and I don't know how I missed them. But afterwards, when the water was all dry, the bricks were all solid in the wall, and I looked back and oh my goodness, I missed 2 bricks. They were crooked. All the rest of the bricks were perfect. So what did I do? I tried to get those bad bricks out of the wall, scrape out the mortar, remove those bricks, and I couldn't do it. It was too hard. So I thought of getting some dynamite, blowing it up so I could start again. That wasn't possible. And so I was stuck with these terrible bricks for about 3 months, I think. And I really suffered. The first job I did was a mess. And after 3 months, a visitor saw that wall and they commented, "What a beautiful wall that was." It kind of shocked me. "Can't you see those 2 bad bricks which spoil the whole thing?" And what they said, "Yes, I can see those 2 bad bricks, but I can also see the 998 perfect bricks." And I don't mind repeating that so many times, simply because that meant so much to me. It started to teach me just how the way we look at the world is sometimes the problem. Not the world itself, but the way we look at it. He was right, most of the bricks were perfect, there's only 2 were crooked. When I saw that, I never again wanted to destroy that wall. And it is still there. I know the people from Hong Kong in particular, they asked me, "Look, we're at Bodhinyana Monastery now, where is that wall?" And I know especially the people from Indonesia, if they saw that wall, they'd all be lining up to take photos. For years I'd lost it. It wasn't important to me anymore, but I did find it again. And that wall, this is a reason why you cannot go in there to take photos. It's in the monk's toilet block. I'm not making that up, that's real. So if you want to go and take some photographs of that before you leave after the retreat in Jhana Grove, please go to the shops and get a make-up false beard and shave your hair off or something. We'll put you a robe to be sort of make up like you're a monk and sneak inside there and click, click, click. But a story like that, where did that come from? It's just because you know how to do meditation retreats. That after a while you get so peaceful and so still, you can see the world in a different way. And I also remember the result of that story, that getting this letter from Thailand with a free air ticket in there. I think it was business class for me. And I didn't know who sent me this, and apparently there was 4 couples who were, one of them at least worked in one of each couple worked in the Thai embassy. the Australian embassy in Bangkok. And they'd got a copy of this book, and they sent me this invitation to visit business class Thailand, because of these 4 couples, 2 of them were divorced and the other 2 were separated, just awaiting divorce. And when they read that book, especially that story, they gave their relationship another chance. They were back together again. They said, that book has saved 4 marriages. Please come, we just want to see you. Where did that story come from? It actually works. Is this religion, or I don't care what you call it, but at least it works and saves a lot of suffering and pain in life. And you know that I would love it if instead of when you have like a holiday from work, instead of having a holiday, how about having a retreat? Instead of going to some big hotel somewhere and spending all your time worrying what you should be doing, going surfing, or what do you do on holidays anyway? It's been such a long time since I've been on a holiday, and why? I can't make it out. I know that sometimes you have to see all these people, and I'm off to teach a retreat over in Hong Kong or somewhere, see all these other people lining up because they're going to Bali or they're going to UK or they're going somewhere on holiday. What I really can't understand is why they say they go to Hong Kong for shopping and then the Hong Kong people come to Perth for shopping. It makes no sense to me. Haven't they got any shops in Hong Kong? Why do you have to come shopping in Perth? Sorry? Yes, you're good, yes. But, sometimes you wonder so much about, why people go on holidays. You know that a retreat centre in Jhana Grove, what is its nickname? I didn't hear it. Club Med, yeah. Club Med Serpentine. Once a friend of mine, he went to Club Med, he's a lay person, quite wealthy, and I said, what do you do there? I have no idea, I don't go Club Med, but they gave me the list of all the activities they do there. From the early morning, a pre-morning yoga session, pre-morning, yeah, probably, pre-breakfast, and then playing tennis, and then coaching on this or coaching on that. And then it was so busy. I said, how can you cope with all that going here, going there, and doing stuff? And they said, yeah, it's very tiring. After going to Club Med for a week, not our Club Med, but one of those Club Med resorts, they get so exhausted. You must be crazy. Well, if you want to go to Club Med, go Club Med Serpentine. It's much cheaper, better food, better jokes. I may be wrong there. But, sometimes why people waste their time doing things where they can do some things much, much better. And you go to, because I'm teaching retreat, my mind is on retreat. There was all these meditation stories. This lady, from Sydney, came on one of the retreats in Jhana Grove, came late because she had to tie up all her loose ends. I don't know why you have loose ends in life. I don't have many loose ends. Do I? Oh yeah, I do actually, yes. Put it back on. But when she said she had to, I like the way she said, beg and plead from her boss to get a week off work. She was a high executive, very competent woman. But once she went back to Sydney after the retreat was finished, she said her boss took one look at her and said, I don't know what that Ajahn Brahm has been giving you. I don't care if it's illegal, but please bring me back some next time. He thought she was taking some drug. She'd never seen her so happy. And these are just, okay, and even more interesting stuff. One of the problems which, we have in life, the older we get, the more open for sickness we become. And that's real. And that's, some of your friends get really sick. Well, like Don Weaver Cody, who passed away a couple of days ago. He was a really good friend. I really respected him. And, he had a stroke, and then a week or two later, passed away. Peacefully in hospital, but still passed away. And he used to be the president, not just of our place, but of the, what's it called, the tennis club over where he lived. So he's a very fit man. But anyway, you know that people get sick and they die. So how can we kind of lessen that, or make it less painful or disappointing? And that's one of the reasons why I love telling stories like this, of this man from Sydney who went on one of my retreats over in Sydney, and I will never forget him. He told me he was not a Buddhist, so he's just learning meditation from scratch. The only reason why he came to my retreat in Sydney, because he had cancer. And like many people, he thought that through meditation you can actually do something with the cancer. His doctors had given up hope on him. He was terminal. So, nothing more we can do. And the reason he stood out at this retreat was because even after the first day on the retreat, and all you people at Jhana Grove, you can understand why this was a problem. He was breathing through his mouth all the time, very loudly. And when you're sitting there for hours, that becomes quite irritating at first. And then I answered all their questions by saying, that man has got this big tumour in his sinus. It's sinus cancer. He cannot breathe through his nose. That's why he's breathing through his mouth. And interesting thing, I'm glad I never made that announcement to begin with, because the people's compassion was really inspiring for me. No one complained again. They just encouraged him, wished him well. Anything we can do for you. That our compassion and kindness when someone is really sick is quite impressive. So he was doing that all the 9 days. But I always remember the finale of this, actually no, the sub-finale, because at the end of the retreat he came running towards me. I was about to get in the car to go back to the airport to come back here. And he said, Ajahn Brahm, just wait a moment. And he said, he was meditating, he heard a popping sound. I always remember that word, pop, in his nose. And he could breathe through his nose for the first time in months. But only for 1 minute. And then the tumour closed up again. But imagine that was you, that was so exciting. Something was actually happening. It was not just belief. It was actually real. He could breathe for 1 minute. And personally, when I got in the car, we left the car park to go to the airport, I really thought he'd left it too late. He was going to die. His faith was much better than mine. Because 6 months later, this is the finale. I was giving a talk in another place in Sydney, and this guy comes up and says, Ajahn Brahm, do you remember me? And I tell you, please don't do that to me. Sometimes I give talks and there's thousands of people there. In Jakarta, and the usual final talk, there's at least 3,000, 4,000 people there to listen. That's a lot of people. And then you come up to me and say, I saw you in Jakarta. Yeah, the other 3,999 people. Give me a break. And so this, I said, please don't do that to me. No, I don't remember you. I don't like hurting you or disappointing you, but it's impossible to remember so many people. And so I said, no, I don't know who are you? And that's when he gave me this beautiful smile. He said, I was that guy with the sinus tumour. I carried on doing what you taught me, and now it's total full remission. It's gone completely. And that, of course, that's really pleasing. I don't get paid for anything I do. I don't get any monetary reward. It's much better reward than that when you find one person comes up and said, cancer's gone because of what you did or what you taught me. And of course I asked him, what are you doing now? And he said, I'm just spending the rest of my life, however many years that is, teaching others what you taught me. What a beautiful thing to tell me. So anyway, that's actually what happens when you really get into it. And look, you have this incredible place here which so many people spend so much time. Even Don River Cody has passed away. He worked so hard. He worked so hard, as a treasurer, as secretary, as president of this society. And these are the sorts of things we build up. And each one of you has helped so much also. Please look after one another, and please make use of all the hard work and sacrifices which people have done here. We've got one of the most, I say this and I think it's true, please correct me if I'm wrong, we've got one of the most beautiful retreat centres in the world. Every room has its own ensuite. And that's unheard of in retreat centres. And it's a beautiful location. And please don't get upset at me, it's very cheap. How much do we charge now when you come here? Actually, for the Buddhist Society of WA, how much do we charge? Is it $30 or $40 a day? $30. How much do you charge to go to a backpackers hotel where you have to share a room and you have to queue up for having a shower? How much? Backpackers? How much? 50? 50, okay. So I don't know why all backpackers, they should go to Ajahn Brahm. No, I don't say that. I get in big trouble. Why is it so cheap? Again, I please apologize, because we don't actually, so many volunteers come and help, even come and help. Now, Leha's looking at me, I might get in trouble afterwards. She's on the Jhana Grove subcommittee. But it's beautiful. Sometimes if you give something, you want to give it for free, if I possibly could. So you're not making any barrier for people to make use of the place. And anyway, mostly people just give donations afterwards. That's how the place works. And it kind of is more pure that way. It's how we give, the Buddhist Society of Western Australia give to you. And then eventually, when you hear that somebody has cured their cancer, spending the rest of their life teaching others how to cure cancers too, that's my reward. Unfortunately, you can't actually measure that in the accounts, but it's still a beautiful thing to know. So anyway, that's about retreats. I could say much more about it, but we're going to start the retreat in about 8 or 9 days' time. I'm still going to give another talk here. I don't have to. Why do I do that? It's nice seeing you all. Nice connecting with you again. And I said, I can't help it. I'm a softie. Is that right, Neha? What you called me today? I am a softie, I admit it. Okay, so questions. Well, I can't be too soft tonight because after we finish here, we go back to Jhana Grove, and I'll be teaching all the people who are here who came from Indonesia and Hong Kong. I'll be going back, hopefully not too late, so I can get up early in the morning to lead the chanting tomorrow morning at 6. Any questions? Questions for free? Thank you, Conrad.
Nobody asked. Oh, sorry.
I got one. I got some. Okay. Sorry, Eddie.
Okay.
Alan, it feels like my meditation practice has stalled during meditation. It is as if just myself or ego observing the self or ego. Any advice? Thank you. So make yourself or ego very joyful. And then you can watch a joyful ego. Have some fun with it. You know my saying about ego? Ego, she-go, we all go. Now when you laugh, you watch a funny ego, then you find out it's much easier to watch, you're more peaceful, and after a while you watch it long enough, whatever you watch long enough has to change. If it's still, it will disappear. That was one of the weekend retreats I did when I was a student at a Zen monastery. And there I was taught to look at a wall with my eyes open. That was my instructions. But then the wall disappeared. It kind of vanished. My eyes were wide open and there was no wall there anymore. That was really helpful for my meditation. I realized what meditation is you're so still that things vanish. And this was a solid wall. Our eyes were open, there's no wall there anymore, it's emptiness. Those are the sorts of weird things which happen, but it's also great. So you sit meditation, sitting down here, this old body, 73 soon. Of course you've got some aches and pains in there, that's old age. But then after a while it vanishes. You can't feel the body anymore. You can't hear sounds. The 5 senses vanish, and what you're left with is this beautiful, the 6th sense, the mind. That's so cool. And you're so alive, so alert. That's when you go out. I know I saw a couple of people from Indonesia. I was very happy with them. They were outside doing photographs of the Milky Way. You don't see that in Jakarta. It's actually quite rare to see even a star in Jakarta. There's so many clouds or smoke and stuff. But actually to see the whole Milky Way up there has beautiful photographs of the Milky Way. It's gorgeous. Which is one of the reasons why you get inspired by the results of meditation. You get joy from it. You teach it to your children and they get top marks in the university exams. They even get scholarships, so you mum and dad don't have to pay anything. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Is it? I hope so. Anyway, so the joy in it actually starts to see the meditation as beautiful. I told this similarly to somebody. When I was young, I used to like listening to rock music, really loud. As I grew older, I started preferring classical music. And the same music I really started to like. When I was into rock music, I thought this was boring. Listening to classical music was so boring. And now I liked it more. And then later on, you like to listen to the sound of the wind in the trees. Natural music. You find a nice little place by a river and just listen to the very gentle flow of water over the rocks. And that was gorgeous. And I noticed that you became more sensitive so you could enjoy quieter music. You can enjoy the happiness of meditation more. You can actually see it. How could I miss this? Peace. This thing called peace is one of the most beautiful experiences in the whole world. That's why, you wish people when they die, rest in peace. if peace wasn't very nice, that'd be a wicked thing to wish people, if peace wasn't gorgeous and beautiful. So anyway, after a while, you realize that peace is some of the deepest and highest happinesses. So that's when your meditation really starts to take off there. You learn how to appreciate the peace. Next one. Cool HT. Okay, question from Sydney. I get random dreams at night about my future life. A few weeks later I do something and remember about my dream. Why does this happen? A lot of times, most dreams you have do not work out. One of my friends who was a monk told me that when he was really young, he always dreamt of actually being by his family pool. You know, his father was actually in the US military, I think a general or something, so he had a good salary, and he had a house in San Jose or something. But anyway, he had a big pool there, and he actually dreamt that his sister drowned in the pool. And then he was just hanging out by the pool, nothing much to do that afternoon, and he saw his dream replay. And because he knew what was going to happen next, he could move fast enough to save his sister's life. And he thought, wow, I actually dreamt of that. And it happened. And he could act to save his sister's life. The next time he had such a dream, he was backpacking in New Zealand. And he had a dream that his house was raided by the police and he got busted for drugs. And he got deported. That happened too. And he kicked himself. And I had a chance, I saw it in my dream, it's going to happen. It did happen. And the last thing, once he became a monk, obviously he behaved, but he always used to tell me, he sat next to me for years, he said, I know how I'm going to die. Because he had this dream many times, exactly the same quality, actually running across the paddy fields of northeast Thailand, being chased by communist soldiers from Vietnam and being shot in the back. And he was convinced that's what's going to happen to him. But he eventually disrobed. 1 year later got married. 1 year later he got killed in a head-on collision returning from Yosemite Park. I remember, he was a really good friend, and I remember just going over to the United States once to give some talks, and this woman came up with this photo and said, do you remember this guy? It's next to my father who died. I said, yeah, it's me. It was his daughter. And she tracked me down, you know, to actually, because her father and me were really good friends. Her name was Metta. That's why he gave him that name. She's a very nice girl. So anyway, sometimes those dreams are true, sometimes they're not. You can't rely on them. Do you want the joke? Okay. I can't resist jokes. Here it comes. It's a really bad joke. About the guy who dreamt of 4 angels. You know the joke. It's a good one. So not 4 angels, actually 5 angels. Dreamt of 5 angels in his dream, and every angel had 5 big pots full of gold. And they lined up to present 5 pots of gold each to this guy. And so he had 25 pots of gold in his dream. And that's when he woke up. And when he turned the light on, there were no angels in his room. He never minded that. What he was not upset about, there was no gold. It was just a dream. But anyway, he went down for breakfast. His wife had already made him a breakfast of 5 eggs and 5 pieces of toast. That was weird. And then when he looked at the newspaper, it was the 5th of May, the 5th day of the 5th month. And so this number 5 was staring him in the face. So he looked at the horse racing that day. And as you know, here in Perth, there is a horse racing course called Ascot. A-S-C-O-T. 5 letters. So just by chance he looked in the horse racing section in the West Australian, looked at the 5th race that afternoon and couldn't believe his eyes. There was a horse in that race in the afternoon called 5 Angels. Wow. He said this good luck only happens once in your life, if at all. So this must be true. It's according to his dream, according to the newspaper, the 5th of May, 5th day, 5th month. So he took the afternoon off work. He never told his wife. He went to his bank, first of all, took $5,000 out to keep the lucky number 5. Went to the racetrack, chose the 5th bookmaker in line, and put $5,000 to win on. It was actually a horse number 5, race number 5, 5 Angels. The lucky number 5 could not be wrong. The lucky number 5 was not wrong. His horse came in 5th. That's a very bad joke. I do apologize. Actually, I don't apologize. Okay, next question. Okay. From Sri Lanka, dear Ajahn Brahm, what are the differences between Mahasi Sayadaw meditation method and Ajahn Chah meditation method? You try it out and find out. Basically, there's only one type of meditation. Actually, I should put some water in. Okay, the water's in here already, you don't need to pour it out. How do I get this water to be perfectly still? Hold it. Concentrate for hours. You can't keep the water still that way. How do you get the water to be still? Put it down, easy. And wait. Let go. Stop grasping. Let it be. And it becomes perfectly still all by itself. That's how Ajahn Chah taught. And then when you look at that, you can see right through it, right to its depths. If you look upon its surface, it has a perfect reflection on what's outside. It's like a mirror. That's how to meditate. Last question. Question from Poland. Conrad, did you choose this question? We can't be biased if we do. Okay. Can Tantra be used as a way of enlightenment? Answer, no. Easy. It wasn't you, was it, who asked that? No. Tantra was something which came about many centuries later. And it's the idea of using, please excuse me, sexual energy to become enlightened. And I know that somebody once asked His Holiness the Dalai Lama, said, can this be done? He said, according to the sutras, yes. But do you know anyone who's done it? No. So it's in theory, but in practice, no. Hindus took it on as well. It was Hindus at that particular time. Hindus and Buddhists took it on. Okay.
Oh.
So I'm not going to teach Tantra.
Can I?
I know it'd be very popular to see it, but...
Oh.
Okay. Okay, Eddie, you've been holding the microphone for a while. So please.
Ajahn Brahm, thanks for the wonderful talk. Just now when you said, when you had the 6 months meditation, you were full of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was said that the Buddha, he sleeps only 1 hour a night, some say 4, okay? He doesn't need that 8 hours sleep because he was so peaceful, okay? My question is, for us lay people, okay? Whenever we feel low in energy or tired, okay, yeah, what we should do is, it's most probably not that we are physically ill, it's our mental problem, We should examine our mind, putting in positive things, okay? And or meditation, whichever way suits us, to bring us up again.
That was what I was saying about kids doing exams. Just doing a 3-hour exam or a 1-hour exam or interviews, it's high stress. You have to rest. And if you can't rest your body, you don't need to rest your body. At least know how to rest your mind. And that just regenerates you. That's one of my tricks. Because sometimes, I don't control my routine during the day. And sometimes, you have to give a talk. Or sometimes, one thing which happened to me, I remember once, that when I was helping out the Buddhist fellowship over in Singapore, they wanted to innovate. And so one of the things they did was to have a Dharma play, with some songs. And of course, when they found out that I was available that weekend, they included me in the play, and in a proper theatre, I think Victoria Theatre in Singapore. And so I didn't mind. I hadn't seen the script or anything. They gave the script to me after I landed at the airport. And so you went straight to the theatre and started playing myself. That was easy enough. And the whole story was about this lady who had a very difficult time with her husband. But then she read the book, Opening the Door of Your Heart, and that solved all of her problems. And apparently that's when I came on stage. It was very kitsch, and I just had to give a little talk. And they liked it. I didn't mind. I've never been on stage in a play before. I don't know if that was appropriate, but anyway. Afterwards, they said there's going to be another session of the play in about an hour's time. They're all going out to dinner. I don't get any dinner. And I was exhausted by now. Friday night talk here, and then a couple of hours of sleep, and then to the airport to check in, the early morning Singapore Airlines flight, and then eventually had to go and perform. And then everyone else, they hadn't travelled and got up about 3 o'clock in the morning to get to the airport, and they hadn't sort of travelled, and they had a dinner in the evening. We had a second performance. And I thought, my goodness, I can't do this. I'm exhausted already. But I found a little corner of the theatre which no one was using, a little cave. And I sat down to meditate. And when I came out of meditation, I had just more energy than they had. And that's actually a little trick which I've been using for years. If you really need a big boost of energy, please give me a bit of peace and quiet, and I just go and meditate, and you get restored energy. Yeah.
Just quickly, Ajahn Brahm, what do you think of those temporarily boosting energy drinks?
Like tea?
They are only for temporary.
I grew up on tea. I've seen other kids in UK that honestly straight off their mother's milk into a cup of tea. So I've been addicted by my parents. Not my fault. I was always sure if ever you did a blood transplant, you have the different types of blood. You got A plus, B plus, O. Mine is T. I'm only joking.
But for Buddhists, who knows, we should be trying, from the minds, Ajahn Brahm.
Oh,
the mind is for not the drink temporary things.
No, just even Ajahn Chah used to drink and eat all sorts of stuff. So I have tea.
Oh, so you think that helps too? Drinks?
Well, it just keeps me being able to do new jokes.
Oh well, that comes from the mind too.
Yeah, I take tea. Who made me a cup of tea today? It was you did, didn't you? No, it wasn't you. It was that you, El? Where is she? Oh no, that's Chamari. Is she here? Oh, she's probably gone back now. Yeah, she made me a cup of tea today. One of the things, if I become too ascetic, it means no one can help me. And sometimes you deliberately make yourself a little bit vulnerable, needy, so other people can serve. It becomes a beautiful relationship. Right now, who's going to take me down back to Jhana Grove this evening? Nicholas. And it's wonderful that you get so much. Do you get happiness out of that? Are you bored with driving me to Jhana Grove? Sorry? Can you hear it again? Happy, yeah. If you didn't go for some reason, you get really upset. No, it's very nice to actually be helped and help. Okay, so thank you all for listening. I should make a move now. And then we can, I'll see you next week, or in a couple of days' time.
Thanks.
Like tomorrow, entry to the Rains Day. Oh, Sunday, yes, sorry. It's not Saturday yet. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Suakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami.